Splendid. Right, okay. So, yes, I'm Simon, Manchester-based. I did work for Ableton for nearly 10 years. God, it seems like a lifetime, that. And I was UK and Ireland brand manager, and I did all sorts of stuff. So I know some of you know, dotted around. And I'm an Ableton certified trainer, so I've been sort of around creators, from people who play Glastonbury to people who've never touched it before, or people moving from Logic and stuff like that, you know. Whoa, good afternoon. Yeah, it was a late evening because of the football, I blame it on that. And yeah, so yeah, help people out, try and make it make sense to people, help people with certain projects, whether taking bands from studio to stage, or solo projects. How do I make this happen on stage with all these things going off? So I'm kind of coming at it from a, you know, tinkering around with synths as a kid and being in rock bands and indie bands and things, to like making drum and bass and just weird music, basically. So the extensions things were the first things that I've not been involved in when I was working at Ableton. I knew that like Move was coming and stuff like that for years. And so it's quite interesting. But I'm approaching it from, I'll just open my little, I've got a little presentation thing so I don't lose where I'm talking about. Keynote, there you go. What are extensions? So yeah, I'm approaching this from a user, just like yourself, just making music, and like, what can this do for me? Is it worthwhile, or is it just really complicated? David has skills in making Max for Live devices, if you ever use them. Anyone use Max for Live stuff within Ableton stuff? Does any of you not know what they are? So I don't want to patronize anybody or just say, presume you know everything, because no one knows everything, do they? But extensions, I made another one so you can do it like this. JavaScript-based tools that act on your set. I mean, even what is Java is program language, but I'm not going to go deep into that. It's just another way of adding things into your set. I'm going to show you what they are so you can see how they can help you. And this is one thing, they work on tracks, clips, MIDI devices, and you'll see that they work in different areas if you're doing different things, which is we're going to look at. So yeah, think of them as smart actions. They're there to help you do things. My favorite one is so simple. I'll show you it. It's because it can do something that the programmers haven't put into it. Just dead simple things. So they're not sound generators like Max for Live. You can build synths and things like that. It's not things like that, really. It's more things to help you with like your admin sort of tools. So you're going to love them. So yeah, I'll just show you some. So Max for Live is another way. It's like extending the functions of what Ableton Live can actually do. So if it can't do something, like I just came in then and David said, I want to be able to see the waveform of my clip on another screen. And it's like, there is ways to do it, you know, but it's like, you got to spend time, but I mean, now with like sort of AI, you can get it to help you sort of, you know, I want to do this, how can I do it? And you can get there eventually. That's what I do anyway. And yeah, so Max for Live is that real-time stuff, making effects, but I'll skip through this. Yeah, these are the things that we're going to look at. I'll just dive straight into it anyway. Complement, don't compete. That's what I wanted to say, really, that they're there to help you make music. And just a quick one as well. How many of you use it? How many of you are on Ableton Live 12 Suite? Yeah. Oh, well, that's pretty good. And how many of you like just on like 11 or something prior? Okay. I don't work for Ableton anymore, so I'm not going to try and upsell you, but I just can't help it. Just like 12 is amazing. But yeah, so to run this, you need 12.5. Well, I mean, it's a beta version. So you actually, if you're a Ableton Live Suite user, you can get onto the public beta. It will come out about September. I don't know the exact date, and if I did, I still wouldn't be allowed to say, but it's going to be around then. So it's a bit of a preview, this, really. You need to be on the beta, I put that. And yeah, what I'm going to show you is only available in Suite. So hopefully it'll work. I'm not going to tell you how to install it. That's just, I'll just show you how it looks. Let's use them. Right, so one thing you'll find straight away. So let's quick show of hands who's making kind of electronic music generally. Who's using it to support their songwriting and sort of develop things further, kind of thing. Good, good, good. Yes. Don't ever stop. Anybody using it in a band context, like using bands and stuff? Well, most of these things here today are ways to help you do things better, right? So when you click on this, the way you install it, if you go, see here it says extensions, and this will just show up when you open this new version. So you click on this, these are the ones I've installed, and you literally download them, and I'm going to send a link to David, who's going to make them accessible. You can get them, I got most of them off the Ableton Discord, and there's a group in there, keep that, we'll also put a link to that. And you just literally download them. I'm going to sneakily look into my downloads folder, quick, oh, quick, get out of there, don't look. Ableton Extensions is there somewhere, boom, there you go. So currently I think I've got 65 of them, and it's too much already, because when you see I'll right click in certain areas, they're just down here. So they do all sorts of stuff, but you just literally get these .ablx files, and you literally just drag them in where it says drag and drop to install. The only thing is you have to do one at once. So, but it's probably a good thing, you know. So if I bring this Sonora match, I've already got it installed. It'll just tell me that you've already got it installed. Why are you trying to do that? There you go. You're about to install it. It's already exists or something. Oh no, it actually says it's there. Oh, shit, right. I've actually already got it in. Oh, there you go. It already exists. There you go. So, and then what you do, you have to restart it. So when your computer starts, they're in your library. But they're really small files as well. So like the largest one I've seen is one of these 3.5 meg or something. Anyway, let's show you. So one of the first ones, like, it does something so silly. If I just right mouse click, yeah, there you go. So all of these show up when you right mouse click, and you can click on a track, on a clip, on a channel, and it's context based. So when you click on it now, the extensions, you'll get a list of these. Now I'll just zoom in, have a look at some of them. You can just see what the names are. But like chord progression helper, you never guess what that one does. Beat Buddy. Now do you know the guys who run Bleep, like Matt and I am, when there's a Manchester electronic collective WhatsApp group, if you want to be in that, and one of them put, oh, I want something like a Tamagotchi where it keeps you got to check in every day. There is one. So straight away somebody's done that. So these are people like us that may be a little bit more into the programming side, and they've made all these mad things. Right, so Beat Buddy, right, I'll just show you that because it's just silly. And it literally, you've got to feed it. I don't even know what you do. It's like, 8 chords D minor, lo-fi from upright piano, a pet was born. I don't know what it does, but you've got to check in with it, and you can change your name, and and it's hungry. I've not fed it, so yeah, you can go into that. But if that's what you need, Beat Buddy to check in. I mean, it's better than being all them WhatsApp groups that I'm in. But that's that. So I right mouse click, and I don't really know how to explain this, but they just kind of disappear. If you move away from them, they're gone, and you can press escape to get out of them. But yeah. So I've wrote down my favourites because, and like, I tried to imagine what sort of things that you lot would be interested in, which is an impossible thing. But these, yeah, yoink, that's good. Right, repeat it, that's the one thing. So if I click on, say, this instrument here, and I don't know what it is, I'll just play it. So. Sorry. Just some sort of repeated bass line. It just sounds, I don't know what I've got it from. But if I decided I wanted to put a utility on the end, I'm just going to like pick an effect that I use a lot, or something that I'd use to change the panning or something. So I just decide that every track wants the same thing on it, and this one's called Repeat It. And all it means is you can actually just right click here, go to Extensions, and it's called, where is it, Repeat It. Can you see it? There it is, middle of there. So it's called Repeat It, click it, and all it does is this. Now if you open something, like if I had just said I wanted utility then, but it's on a list, you can add to every track, at the end of every track, you can add whatever Ableton stock device you want. So you can just put it on there. So I've got utility EQ8 the usuals. And so if I just put utility, select the device, and you can put it in add it or remove it, which is also not a bad idea. All tracks, skip group tracks, selected tracks, and you can put it at the start of your chain or at the end. Does that make sense, yeah? So I'm going to put a utility on every track, so add all tracks, boom. Now, if you watch the speed it does it, it can add utility to all. That is actually quicker than I can do it. So that's okay, right? Some of these AI things that I've been experimenting with, because some people have sent me stuff and said, will you try this and do this? Add 12 tracks to then rename them MIDI, and by the time I've typed an actual prompt to do it, I've just gone Shift Command T, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, done. So that's useful though, isn't it? So yeah, I've been wasting too much time trying to configure some things with Claude so I can get it to work, and it's just like, just do it yourself, you know, like, until it gets super fast, until it's faster than Alexa or something, you know, just open the set and just set me some guitar amps up so I can sound like Jimi Hendrix, and then it'll probably say, you need to practice. But so if I open now every track, it's going to have, oh come on, right, close it. So now you can have, this one is quite nicely designed, it says close, so I just press escape. But if I wanted to open that now, I think you've just got to go back into the right mouse click and do that. There's room for improvement, because straight away, if I click somewhere else, like on a clip, and then right mouse click extensions, this list sort of changes with these contexts. So there's some things for channels, some things for clips specifically, and most of the time it'll tell you, oh, you need to do this on an audio track. This should be on a MIDI track. So it's all still quite new, and people are making them, and they're just for free, so people can test them. That's pretty much. But there are people who want a bit of money off you. Fair enough, if it works for you. Anyway, so if I click on each track, we should see utility on every single one, even the blank tracks. I'll make it full screen, I don't need to do that. Can you all see that okay, by the way? Is that all right? So every track now has got a utility on it. So there's some that didn't have any effects. It was just like a sample jam I was doing for something. But it has added, oh, it's missed one out. Oh, that's naughty, that. So, yeah, it missed a few. I don't know whether I had some things selected, but in principle, it kind of works. So some of them need improvement, and you can feed back to the people who make them if you want. So I thought that was good. Now this one, this is something that I do a lot. So say, for example, I've made a sound. I've got like, I don't know, I record quite a bit of guitars these days. So if I've got like an amp and effects and things, I think I like that, and I want to duplicate the track. But what I end up doing is I duplicate the track, so Command D, always sneak in a shortcut. So that's duplicated that track exactly. It's got all the MIDI and everything on it, but it's also got the effects. But what if I wanted to duplicate the track, but it was just the track without the content on it? Does that make sense? So in other DAWs, I mean, I'm having to just highlight that and delete it. So now I've got the same track, so I can record different things, but the same effects. Does that make sense, yeah? So to do it, I had to duplicate, and then I'd right mouse click, select track content, or just literally do what I did, select it and delete it, which is like, yeah, that's not too bad. But if I delete that track, you can right mouse click, and one of the extensions that shows up near the top is duplicate track with no clips. And my ex-colleague, Fede made this one, and you just click it, and it just does it. You see what it did? So it copied the track and then deleted it, deleted the select content. So somebody in the programming thing, if you can get into the program language, has gone, I've seen the thing that you had up on the screen before, you can see it's like, in brackets, like duplicate track, select all, delete. So it just does it quickly. But in fact, I'm just going to do it again so you can see it happen. In fact, there I undo, and it actually undid the delete. So it does do exactly what. It's a bit nerdy, this, isn't it? Sorry, I'm just thinking like this. But it really helps workflow. Once you get into the learning what things do, and it's about making music, something like this is really helpful. So.
A question about undo.
Yeah.
So obviously, undo is going to just undo the actions that the extension performed.
Yeah.
Presumably, you can't redo. Or will it redo as well? So if you just
no, yeah, it does, because what I was going to show you next, there's one that another colleague did called Ben Codec. Well, he's called Ben Codec. He's not called Ben Codec really, but he's done one which I'm going to show you called hang on, you have to do it on audio clips, which I'll show you, and it literally slices the clip into whatever you want it to do, and then it colours them all individually, which is just insane. That would take forever. And I pressed Command Z yesterday, and it took me 130 odd Command Zs, and then I went, I'll just go back, and I did Shift Command Z, and went back, and it rebuilt it. So yes is the answer, because since version 11 point something, it makes a list of all the undos.
So why don't you just click the undo window?
Exactly, but that's why you can do it though. Yeah. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah, I know it's really like, God, that's really uninspiring, but to me it was like, I'm having that. Right, so right mouse on here. Now, one thing that some of you may like, how many of you, and be honest, because I'll put my hand up too, struggle with structure and like getting the idea of like, I'm going to make a house track, I'm going to make a drum and bass track, but I make an 8-bar loop and, you know, all that usual psychological, I make music but never finish anything. But that's where David comes in with his other session. He's got loads of tips for that. Yeah, me too, right? So, but this one, right mouse click, extensions. I won't keep saying that, but that's what you do. And it's called, oh, come on, where is it now? I think you have to do it on maybe you have to do it on an empty track, I'm not sure, or a MIDI track. And some of them, like I said before, they are quite contextual. Cue templates, can you see that right in the middle? Right, so it's got one called Clear All Locators, which you'll see why in a second, and then Drop Cue Template. Now all it does, if you click this, I think it should do also. What are we making today? It's like a menu, isn't it? You know. So house tech, and it just basically has got those. And I'm personally, I think yes, because there's quite a few producers that I know and work with, and they are very template based, and I'm not, because I just go, yes, the Empties project, I love it because I can just have fun all day. But the ones who are structured and get on with their lives, it's good to have this. So basically you do that, and all it does is just put the markers in. So if I choose like drum and bass 174, it's got a 16 intro, 32 drop, breakdown, 112 bars total. Click it, and all it does is just puts the markers at the top, because I thought about what else could it do. I mean, the only other thing you could do is have a MIDI track, because what I do if I'm ever showing people how to get the favourite track and structure it, I was doing it with your class, wasn't I? Like that, and I just put a MIDI track across the top and then follow that. In fact, actually, I will do it. I've got a piano thing there. So what I do, I just get that now and go the full length. I'm a bit zoomed in now. Let me just do that. So, you know, if you press, you're about the H and W thing, you press it. I'll turn that off. Press H and W, it gives you like the height and width, whatever's there, you can see it easier. So what I do there is, you've got the intro thing. I've just used a MIDI track. So if you press Shift Command M, it will make a MIDI clip that will fill there. You can also just right mouse click and insert MIDI. It's gone now because I'm not there. And then what I do there is, oh, I'm going to do this. I mean, in some things like Logic, you've already got this built in, but it's Logic though, isn't it? So if you go there, you can then just like slice it, Command E, and then, you know, quickly. But maybe, probably David could do it, is just get the JavaScript for this and add in blank MIDI track and just slice it and make it different colours, because that's what I do. So I have my intro. But I mean, I used to do this and it would take me like 10 minutes, but if I put an existing track underneath it in your style, drum and bass, hip hop, whatever, and put it underneath, just go through it and then just mark it off, you get the structure and you'll start to realise that, God, everybody does an 8-bar intro, everybody does a 16, whatever. I think it's helpful, so then I do that and then it just change a different colours. So maybe you could make one that'll do that. And then once it's at the top, if you want to extend the intro, then obviously you just highlight that. And if you wanted to double the length, no matter what's level with it, you just press Shift Command D will just duplicate everything that's in that time selection. So if you just use your structure, you don't have to start highlighting everything beneath it. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's just a faster way to do it, just organising your whole project. So anyway, that's the kind of like really boring one, not boring ones, but workflow stuff that really kind of makes it. Now just check that I've got, repeat it. Now this is cool, right? So you need an audio channel for this one, and you'll know what they are when I get to it, but let's just say you're right in the middle of a track. I'll make sure I'm on an audio track here, and I think I'm just checking where you need to click. This is about learning where to click. There it is, right. So I'm on an audio channel, and I think you can click anywhere on the audio channel. Yeah. And it's BBC sound effects, right? So you're just there. And this is the whole point of, because I used to go to loads of meetings in Ableton and talk about everything from marketing to user research and everything. But the whole goal of Ableton Live is to keep you in there. As in, you're making music. If you want a plug-in, it's like, you know, if you're right in the middle of a project and you want a delay, then press Command F and just start typing delay, and before you've got to L, it's there. You press return, it'll bang and put it straight there. You know, I mean, there's that sort of thing. If that didn't make any sense, what I just said, sorry, but you can just, like, you can grab things. They want you to stay within it. Don't go outside. You know, so eventually we've got like a pitch shifter and things like that, with, you know, for vocal tuning. It was never in there, but they just kind of, they want to do that. So this kind of extensions literally extends that further by keeping you in the program to grab things from the outside and bring them into live. So this one, it's just somebody's made it, and it's the BBC sound effects website, and we all like this one there. Inspire me, roll the dice. Let's do that. So, and then, oh, this one's come up before, a cuckoo, right? So I had this for a Bluetooth speaker in the garden the other day, and my neighbour just popped over the fence there. I thought, that's good. He thought I had a cuckoo in the garden. Yeah. So straight away you're getting, that's coming through? Where is it coming through? Yeah. It's not coming out of, there is it? Is it? Ah, okay. Oh yeah. Sorry. Anyway, let's try the Kingfisher. So you click on it and it just puts it into your, I think that's great because it didn't go into my, I mean, you've got to look at my browser and look at that. So it keeps you there. I think that's cool. And you just press it, click it, it's there, it's downloading. And just as a kind of alternative to that as well, there's one called Open Yoink. Now this one, it's even got like a proper like old school Windows vibe. That one, I tried it yesterday. I haven't got one ready, but if you paste an Instagram link, URL, or YouTube, oh, I'm not on the internet, am I? Right, okay, but it works, trust me. Just get the URL, and I wonder if there's anything on my, oh, this is a bit, Instagram, there's one there, YouTube. Yeah, let's just try it. I mean, I'll just paste the link there. You know, this is my thing where I can just go. There you go. It might not connect, but I mean, it looks it up, but it might not look it, but it just basically finds that link and it'll say, oh, it might be working. It might just use my phone as a, yeah. How to Be Confident, a guide by Liam Gallagher. I just thought it was funny what he was saying, so now if I press start.
What do you think it takes to be godlike?
What it takes to be godlike? I don't know, there's been a lot of knobheads that have won this award, haven't there?
So, you know, he wasn't the Brits, or whatever it was. So you can literally do that, drop into set. I think that's brilliant. So, and it's a little bit cheeky and quirky, so there's going to be all sorts of things. But, yeah, Instagram links. So I found this guitarist, I don't know, I think she's from Scotland, and I just played it, and she was like playing this guitar in a garden and doing all this tapping stuff. Amazing. So I just ripped it straight away and just wrote a full track around it and sent it to her. Not heard back yet. But I thought it was better than just, you know, like, because you were allowed to remix videos. I thought, oh, I'll just do it and tag her in. But I'd hate it if somebody did that to me and just be like, oh man, that's so shit. But it wasn't, it was decent. It was in 6/8, so I had straight away, like, producers who don't work in 6/8 were out. But yeah, anyway, but I could just rip it off straight away and do it. It just fast reduced. So I'm a big fan of those, and I'm sure just like, even those couple of things, it's like, oh, I want a sound effect of a train going past, just like, right my click, BBC, train, list of about 7 trains from the archive, boom, off that one. Yeah? Winning, right, so, and then there's another one that I've put on the list, which I just thought, it's good to know how you actually do this. So, but it's reverb, it just does a reverse reverb thing. So, I don't know what, there's a transition tool creator, I don't think that's working for some reason. And there's one called I don't know how to.
It did pop up.
Did you see it? Right.
Not that one, but I've seen it on your list.
Right.
It's
Sorry.
one I've come across. I don't know if it's a certain type of.
Yeah. So very contextual. So let me just. Oh, no. It's reverse reverb or something. And basically, what it does. Well, I know why. This is what you do. It's on a clip, right? So we'll get Liam Gallagher and do it. Right mouse click. You have to select the clip. Go to extensions. You see what I mean? How that list is getting longer. So.
Is it in alphabetical? What
No.
Is it?
No. It's not. So. I feel like I'm sort of like half telling you something. This is cool without knowing everything about it, that's just life, isn't it? So, or can you actually see it? Reverse verb, right, now I know it's the top one. So it installs two. So reverse reverb is basically, the effect where you want to just bring something in and it gives that reverse swelling thing. I'll just show you what to do. But actually, I'll do it, click on it, and it just does it. It didn't even ask me any parameters. So it was just Liam Gallagher talking, and then now it goes. Maybe. Yeah, so it was in F sharp minor as well. No, I'm joking. So yeah, doing that. But obviously it's good for producers to know how to, reverse it, put some reverb, flip it round so it has this fade-in thing. But it's just handy, and these are just things that are there to kind of just quickly try it. And if it's rubbish, we've only wasted seconds, not hours. So that one was I really like that one. Now this is something that I'll just show you a quick one about like a beat creation. So how many of you like working in house, electronic, techno, things like that? Yeah? Now this one, I just find interesting. There's quite a few that are based on, have you used the MIDI tools in Live 12, which help you generate ideas from nothing?
So like stacks and stuff like
Yes, yeah. So I think they're great, obviously, but I was part of the team that was demoing that to like press and stuff like that when I worked for Ableton. But these are just variations. Some of them are a little bit better, and one of them, which my old colleague did, I don't know where it is on here, but it's actually using the algorithm for that Spotify use, and it's I don't know if I've installed it because it didn't work for me, and it. The like audio to MIDI, and you can extract. If you've got like a sample and you like what's being played, but you don't like the sound, you can extract the MIDI in Live. Well, since version 9, you could do it, and it's a bit more accurate. This one, but I can't find it, so I won't show you that. But yeah, that beat-wise, so it is quite contextual. Some of the things only work in session view, and some work right there. Some work in Mancunian Way, was it? Yeah. Traffic jams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just say yes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
It's the football.
Yeah, you know it. So so some things like, and I'm still trying to work out. That one works only in session view and things like that. So I'll just mix it up and see what happens. But this one, I think hang on, right. So I'll just create a blank. Just quick show of hands. Who uses arrangement view just all the time and never uses session view? Honestly, who's not afraid of session view? Don't be afraid. It's half the program. But yeah, if not, there's a great video on session view which is on Simon Lyon's Music Workshop, and I explain it honestly, and I've had some really interesting feedback, all positive. It's like because I described the playing clips as spinning plates, you know what I mean, like the old circuit performer spinning plates, and then when you press the space bar, the performer's still there waiting with the plates in the air until you tell it to stop. So it's just crazy anecdotes and whatever, but yeah. So I think you need to be on a MIDI track and right mouse click and you get different things. Now these will change. Your beat buddy's still there waiting for you. There's things like rename clips and stuff like that, and if I click on that, I've not actually used this one, but I think you have to have on a track, let's have a look, rename clips. Is it there? Now, this was made by someone who works at Ableton. So enter custom names. I don't even know. I've not even tried it, but you can try it. Serious, fun, or abstract. This guy was German. They're my friends, I can call them like German. They're very like, you know, the party starts at 7, it finishes at 12. And, but yeah, so there you go. Instrument, rack shuddering platypus, so that's fun. And you can do that, and you just, I don't know. And you can add numbers and versions, durations, how many bars and stuff like that. You might find that useful for like live DJing and stuff. So they're all quite good, and it's called Runemer. You know, who needs vowels anymore? So yeah, that does that. But I was looking at beats. So the one that I like the interface and everything, is called Wonk. Can you see it anywhere? Is it there now? I think this might only work on.
It was there.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wonk's at the top. So you have to select a clip for this one. Wonk, and it's a groove one. So, I mean, I just like that. I like looking at it. So all it is, it gives you a pattern, and you can select genre. Where is that? There you go. Boom bap, of course. All right, and then it says play, and it plays its own built-in basic sound set. Is that coming out of the speaker? It sounds like it's coming out of mine as well. Maybe it is.
It probably is.
Yeah. Maybe it's on record. Oh, okay. Right, anyway, that's all right. So you can add a bit of swing, but the thing I like about it is similar to the MIDI tools, is that you can see what happens when you increase it. So you see the hi-hats, which are around here. You move that, and they're actually like slightly off-grid, you know. And feel, which is like how you can like sort of graphically show that, I have no idea, but 92 beats per minute. Density, you know, how many notes, so let's just go wild. So that's 100% dynamics. Try and get a bit into it. And then, you know, like there's a button called Wonk Me, and then whatever it just keeps just giving it a bit of variation. So you've got all these, select your genre, and then you put apply to clip, and then it just creates the clip. So now I did it on an empty track. Say that again?
Is that a bit like the Logic program?
I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, are you coming from Logic?
No, I don't know. I've just seen video of Logic, and I'm like, why does Ableton not have something like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, these are the kind of tools that are like that. Yeah, the Logic drummer, which they are quite cool. It listens to the incoming audio and kind of thinks, oh yeah, it's 124 BPM, and it's chosen rock, so I'll put the hi-hats on, whatever, and you can move. So yeah, similar sort of thing. So it's created the clip, but obviously it's just an empty MIDI clip, so you're going to have to put.
Would you be able to put? I'm guessing you'd be able to put your own drum kit on.
Oh yeah.
And it would just play that.
Oh yeah. So I'll pick one of these right in the middle that I always use. I have got, but it begins with L. I can't remember what I just. But anyway, just any kit that'll do. Oh no, I want that one. Right, so you let go, and it just basically there's whatever this kit is, and it should. I mean, my tempo was 132, and I set that to so. And I put everything on full. But now if I do it, and I've got the kit. Oh, Liam's on as well. He'd get anywhere, that guy, wouldn't he? There's actually bits behind it. Sorry, I was like, where's that coming from? So, if you now do it again though, so I've now got it at 77 BPM, right mouse click. Oh, come on, behave as people watching. There you go. Extension, wonk and groove. Go back onto that, and then he'll do it, and I'll just choose a different genre or whatever. But you get the idea. Dilla's got his own section there. Look at that.
I was gonna say that's cool.
Yeah.
You put Dilla like a genre.
Yeah. I mean, 88 BPM. So wonk me. Let's listen. But I tell you what, getting the right kit sound is important, because you play it, and it's obviously like dead tight little kick drum and whatever. And then apply to clip, and now it's there, but it might be the wrong kit for it, but it's all right though. Turned it down, sorry, but. So yeah, it's all about what drum kit you have. I mean, I use Addictive drums like quite a lot for some of my productions, and the real drum kit sounds, but the Ableton ones are good. They're just dead varied now, so excuse me. So that's like kits and things like that. I'm just trying to, how long have we got? Just show you ones that I found really interesting. There's one of them called Sonora Match. Now this one, I'll just take a piece of audio, and this is useful. I thought, yeah, that's good. So what I'll just take a clip of anything. Let's try this one, because this is the bird calls from before. Now I'm going to do this, and I'll tell you if it works in the same way as I tried it yesterday. But you right mouse click, extensions, there it is. And it's right at the bottom of the list, Sonora, and it's like an Australian company. I've put this one in the extensions folder because I couldn't find it it's not on the Ableton one. I don't know where I got it from. This, I think, is well cool. So what it does, it tells you the piece of audio, so in Live 12 now, if you get any audio clip that is either on your computer already or within the project, if you right mouse click on it, you can put search for similar sounds, SSS, or similar sound search, and it literally comes up with a ranking. Have you ever seen that, by the way? I'll show you quickly, but what this does, it takes audio and it looks at the sonic, I don't know, the elements, I don't know what the word is for it, the properties, whether it's like repeated high pitches and frequencies. And then it just says, if you want to get a close sound using, now I've set this to Synth V5, which was one of the Arturia ones, but if you look here, you can put all, I think it's at the top somewhere, and it's got a bunch of synths. Let me just get rid of that. There you go. I think this was just, oh, they're not all Arturia, are they, those? Some are, all right. So there's a bunch of presets that I'm guessing will expand, and you can, I thought you could just do all somewhere, but yeah, all synths, yeah. So basically what it does, it finds a preset that you may have in your VSTs that you could use to keep in that sonic area, like all that world. And I just find it quite useful. I mean, I've got those in my library, I just kind of, I don't mind. So you can just help you find the right sound, and you can rate them, and then it says get, I don't know what that means. Oh, the synth not found, I've got it. The preset requires, which was not detected on your system, and tells you where to get it from. So that's interesting, but it is, or maybe it's on my studio computer. But if you've got that sound, it will just open it, and then you can start playing it. So try that. What was the other one I got? Composition aid. I mean, do we need that? Of course we do. Let's see if that works. Can you see it? Well, some of this one's good. Chord extension. There's a couple like this. There's one by, do any of you know Sidebrain? The guy who posts a lot. He's another certified trainer from LA. He's called Yoda, and he runs on Sundays. He runs these really great online things. He's dead cool. He's dead funny as well. And he's made one called, I've put it at the top, Sidebrain. No, music generator, beat generator. I've got it on here anyway. This one, obviously you can see, it will open up in whatever key your project's set to now. So it was set to A minor, so it's opened it in A minor, and it's suggested the chords and a drum pattern. I'm not quite sure what language that is in, but you can work it out. If you hover over it, I think it does. Yeah, but anyway, what you've got, you can set the key, the style, so you've got lo-fi, city pop, I love that, city pop, future bass, trap, I thought I was called trap, yeah, and then, so it's suggested 140, chord colour, drum energy, 100%, now swing and stuff like that, and then mood, so you can just basically, it's generating MIDI for you, and then it's got these chord progressions, but when you do, you can play it, I'll give you a preview. It's Sunday afternoon, so it's quite laid back. So stop it, and if you press live, it creates a drum rack, and so it creates the channels there. And when I did it in session view, I was like, where is it? And it does it right at the beginning of the track, I think. There you go. So this creates, it takes those chords and that drum beat, and then it just creates blank tracks. I've tried it with ones already open and it still generates them. But then this has got a drum rack, but it's empty. And this has got chords. So if I just, you know, chuck a piano on it, I think I've got a piano already up there, so I'll just bring it to the bottom. But yeah, it's decent, you know, and you can just kind of get something. And even if it's just a starting point, you don't like it. So I'll get rid of this piano and just put those chords on there and so if you double click into, you want to know what those chords are, by the way. Do anyone know what the quickest way is to work out the chords? What's there?
MIDI monitor.
There you go. Who's taught you that? Yeah, so it's just, if you go to MIDI monitor, I know on things like Logic, it does it at the top, but it's not always right. But if you just go to MIDI effects, and my MIDI monitor on this computer is not got a red dot. On my studio when it does, so double click, and it'll put that before. And I'll just tell you what chords it's.
I have no idea that's in Ableton.
Yeah. That's why you're here, isn't it? That's why you're here. Yeah, so, I mean, and obviously if you subscribe to my channel, you know that I use it when I'm demonstrating. So sometimes I'll use the pitch and scale tools. That if I put that before it, you can play one note and you can show you how you translate it into crazy things. So you can see what the chords are. Great. But I think that's quite useful. And then you can just go in there. And just while we're here, I talked about MIDI tools, because I'll wrap it up now. But if I double click on this now, we were just talking about the MIDI tools, which are over here. Other versions, if you were on Live 11, these three tabs used to be, these that are now, just confusing, I'll just stop. Right, these three tabs never used to exist, they used to be over here. But now, like, you can click notes and envelopes and MPE, which I think is useful. And then on the left-hand side here, if you've got 12 suite, you've got generative, which does like generate chords and stuff, or rhythms, and you've also got transformative. So if you do this now, you can like arpeggiate those chords. Make sure you select all, Command A, and if I move one of these, it'll instantly just arpeggiate it, and you know, you just got, that's quite wild. I can make it just go one step rather than two. So I've not actually played anything in yet with, you know, I could use some of that. And then obviously with my wonky beat on top of it, a bit of Liam Gallagher, a bit of Bird Effects. Do you know what I mean? So that's sort of, there's other ones that I've put, Sonora Match, that was good, BBC, they'll repeat it if you're just going to add things on it. There's one called Live Studio, and I only installed it yesterday, and it was very warm. So I only did so, but it's called Live Studio. Now this is pretty cool, this one, right? So it's got things like chords and progressions, and it's a little bit kind of robotic. You just put genre and then choose one, and then it's like generate chords, and you can say what key. So I'll put like F, and then minor, pop, rock, blues. Let's go epic. What a great category. Track, I mean, I don't know what I'm putting, but I experimented with it a little bit, and you can do voice, press execute on all of them, and it creates clips. It did something then, because I saw it move down the other side, but it gives you like this feedback, which, you know, is like the Java stuff I don't really know much about, but there's all sorts of stuff on this one. It's the most extensive one I've seen. Clip colorizer, color by velocity. Ooh. You know what I mean? So there's stuff there, colour by pitch. I mean, that's just great. So these are tools to help you organise, you know, compose ideas, humanise grooves, the session organiser. I mean, this one gives you like sort of bottleneck, inconsistent tempo across scenes. And it's a little bit of an analytical tool, but I think what I'm sort of showing you this one is that this was free from wherever I got it from, and it's in the folder if you want it. And it just does some amazing things that are all, I mean, lyric and melody, I've never seen anything like that in Ableton Live. You know, kind of analyse lyrics. I mean, where are we going? But it all looks fun to me. So there's a lot of things you can do, and you know, I couldn't even begin to scratch the surface. But the bottom line is, press escape, you go out. So it did just, oh yeah, chords F, epic. There you go. It just did them there. Let's have a look. Now, what are those chords? How would I even work it out? What would I do?
MIDI monitor.
MIDI monitor C, and it's already just there. And in fact, that should be in my favourites, shouldn't it? Channel stuff, boom, put it there. So let's have a look. Oh, no, not those. Let's go here. Oh, I've not got an actual device on it. F minor, A flat major. So they're all, anyway, it did some epic chords. I mean, they're not that epic, are they? Really, but, you know what I mean? So, but the sort of, so what I would suggest, if you've got on the beta and you want to try it, or just wait until whenever that.
Do you know when it's?
Yeah, I think it's going to be about September, but it you know, they'll let you know the week before. It's still in beta testing, like, so it's just a decision. But yeah, to sort of, but if you've got whatever you need and you want to try it, just get those extensions and just do a lot of right mouse clicking and seeing, like, so there's a blank clip, extensions, what have I got? I can create a drum beat, I can do chords, composition aid. Oh, these are quite good actually. It tells you all the chords in that key, things like that. So there's a bit of like music theory and stuff like that. There is actually one of them. Any guitarists here that use tab? Yeah? There's one called Ableton Tab. So whatever MIDI you've got, you can just turn it into tab and export it as a PDF. Marvellous. You know, and that would have helped me out when I was teaching guitar in school.
I'm waiting for score editor. I know there was one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I was always struggling to get it to work, so now I'm waiting for some, like...
It's not bad.
I can find sheet music.
Oh, this one's good as well. Sample the radio. I mean, I could go on. Oh, yeah. So that one tells you can't sample on a MIDI track with an instrument loaded. I didn't think I had. Well, it thinks that's an instrument, but there's stuff like that, and it does work. You know, it's just like it takes you to a radio. And also, there's one. Oh, there it is. Sidebrain, the guy. Styled rhythm generator. This one's cool. This guy's cool. It's just like choose your style, reggaeton, length in bars, BPM, match the live tempo, or it'll set when you generate it. It'll do that. Pocket time, so whether it's really, really tight or like sloppy. Ghost snare amount, oof, let's get out there. And then create fill at the end, every one beat, okay, one beat, half bar, yeah. No, it's full bar fill, that's ridiculous, come on. So anyway, you can select all these and it does it in a drum rack, generate, and then there it is, there's your reggaeton beat. We need to have a listen to that though, don't we now? Did I have something that was already open? Oh, don't go that way. Sugar kit, there you go. So I'll just copy that and go all the way back to where I was. Here we go. Could sound absolutely terrible because I've not selected the right kit, but you know. I'm not sure about that one, but you know, a bit of tweaking. Actually, did it say it was 95? Yeah. No, I could do something with that. At least the kick's on one. Yeah, I think what it is, it's not a good snare, that, is it? There is no snare. I think that's what it is. That there should be. There you go. Yeah. Yes, we're off. There you go. That works though now, doesn't it? You needed that snare. I rescued that. Right, so, but there's some good stuff, but to be honest, it's very much you need to try it. I'm still trying it, and I was a little bit skeptical, to be honest, but there's a few things now that I'm like you said about making projects, I'm in the normal version, and I'm keep going to right click and do it, so it's like, it's worked. So, like the duplicate clip thing that I said before, that's a thing, because I'm doing like, I did try to get ideas down quickly, so like using guitars off or just playing stuff in, and it's going to help. There is Mega Break of Doom as well. I'll just got one more, is that all right? One more. So if you get a bunch of samples, there's two actually that do this, so I'll do it real quick. I'll just I'll go samples, loop, and just drums, drum loop, and then let's get another subcategory, breakbeat. Right, there you go. So just get all these. Got to have breaks. If you don't have breaks, you need to. So I'll just find. There you go. Drop them there. So this one, I've selected them all. right mouse click, extensions. Now you can see completely now the list has gone right down, yeah? Phew. Right, now there's two that I really like. So this I'm doing this in session view, but I'll quickly change and do it in the other view as well. But Mega Break of Doom, what this does, I mean, look at that, that's cool, isn't it? Yeah. Detected 13 clips, choose slice count. So this, what it does, it just makes a drum rack and slices them up so you can, you know, it even tells you, I'm just going to pick in the middle, whatever that is. And then this is something that David, the man of the rack, will tell you all about mapping stuff. But basically it says, click on map, set minimum to 0, max 7, and then click map again. It's just basically so you can make it, so you can select how many was there, 13 or 7? 7. It means you can play the clip and you can just move between them all, but I'll just show you, build it. And you can see what it's doing in real time. It's just that little bit quicker than I can do it. It's still not that fast, but it's going to go through them all, and it's making slices, and it's making a drum rack where it's just choosing each of those as a drum rack cell, so that when you play it back, there's a different drum on every one. But if you then move the macro, you can map it so that you can just stick to just one. Does that make sense? So you can just slice it up and you've made this mad kit that you can experiment with. It's taking a while though. But you can see here it's populating all the way to the top. We're going to get quite far up there. It's slicing up. You can see there it says break, Amias, break, chop, funky break. Each hit is taken from that loop. So if you had to do it yourself, you'd have to get them, paste them all, and you'd have to keep slicing and bringing it in, and it would take a lot longer than this. So, I mean, you know, it's going to take whatever. I'm going to cancel it just for the sake of time, but it creates a drum rack with sounds that are from whatever you've created, and there's a lot of ways to experiment with that, which we could go on for hours, but, you know, I'm happy to show you and another time, but yeah, try that. And then the other thing, this one's a little bit quicker, so I'll just copy about them, and then I'll pick them up. I'm going to put them in arrangement because I know it works in arrangement, this one. So this one is one where you asked about whether you can undo. So you can see them all there. And this is the one that a friend Ben did, and it's called BB, no, not B Buddy. Where is it? No, BB Cuts it's called. This one, again, nice little, this one you can say, he got it from the BB Cut library by Nick Collins, or that is. It says at the bottom. And you can choose different ways of cutting it. But that gives you an idea. The logo there is what it does. It'll take 2 beats from the first loop, then whatever. Subdivisions, I'm just going to go like that and this and whatever. 95, total length, 22 bars, loop length, 2. Repeats 1 to 2, repeats chance I'm going to put high, and then what it does, it's turned it into all those clips. If I play that now, I mean look, it's made it all rainbow colours, that's great, isn't it? You press play, oh hang on, it's got a bit of movement on it and everything, hasn't it? I'll just zoom out, I'll just solo that, and it's just basically playing. And you might find just one bit, very DJ Shadow, if you use breaks. And it's just basically got all the beats, just chop them up, and it's like, do any of you ever do the follow actions with the beats? You put them in line, it's kind of doing that, but it's took you straight to arrangement, so you can actually find a bit that you like. And then you asked about the undo history. If you just do Command Z with this, real quick and show you. So if you've got Command Z, it must colour them, which is great. And then if you change your mind, Shift Command Z, and go back, and I think it does go back and it repeats whatever the action is, which I don't know how to colour the clips individually. I don't know what it does, but yeah.
Sorry, does the Shift Command Z work normally?
Yeah.
Yeah, Command Z is undo. Yeah, it's Ableton's built-in time machine. Yeah, Command Z will take you back, and you think, oh shit, I want to go back. Shift Command Z, and since version 11, you can go back really far because there should be like a backup file as well in your current project. it does go back to as far as that one is. So yeah, there's loads of stuff for you to try. There's a few more things that are quite MIDI based for generating ideas, but I'm still using MIDI tools for that. But I think it's the way forward. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. But I think it's I can relate to this and think there's going to be stuff where tidying up sessions and. You know, there's like the ones that a lot of people are going crazy about is any Pro Tools users here. There's like strip silence and stuff like that, whereas you've got something you've recorded, or if you're doing field recordings, I know you've done a lot of sampling and stuff. If you just get something and it's like this will be one sound I'm going to use, and you can just cut it up, and then you can even export it. I can't remember which one it is, but you can export each clip as a separate sound, and then it just puts them into your current project. It doesn't export them anywhere else, it puts them in here, but then you can then put them into a sampler rack and that kind of thing. But lots to go at. And the only final bit, which I'm guessing is not going to be many of you, is how do I make my own? And it's like, whoa, really? But it's just, when you download it, you download the pack. Where's my window gone that was, there you go. You just go here. So this is the Poly Beta page, tells you to download the extension and documentation, and when you do, there's a folder inside. I won't show it now because it's another 25 minutes, but you open it up and the instructions are in there about how to do it. And another guy on the Ableton Discord has actually done a thing for Claude where you tell it what you want it to do and it will create it. So I'm guessing that some of my ex-colleagues have done that because they're not into all the programming stuff, and they've just found, they've obviously had courses and they've all learned a little bit, but if you put your wishes in now into something like this, like I just want you to like duplicate 5 tracks, put it in a group, put a compressor, delay, reverb on it every time, and it'll do it. Because if it's something that you would do already, but quicken it up, that's what you can do. Think of it like that. Like if it's possible within the program already, and then some external things you can bring into it as well, like MIDI libraries of beats, grooves, and some of them have just got MIDI clips built inside them, and then you're allowed to change the groove and things like that. Any questions? There's a lot of stuff there, so yes?
I was just going to ask you about Claude, since you mentioned it. You know how just before the extension stuff came out, you were able to use Claude with Ableton?
Yeah.
Have you ever used it?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried it?
Yeah, so just before you came, I've got 2, right? One of them is called Timbre. Have you seen Timbre?
No.
See, I told them that I was going to demonstrate Timbre at this one just to try and get a license for a year, and it didn't work. They give me a month free. I'm like, come on. And basically what it does, it uses, I've not got it set up on my laptop, but on my studio computer. It creates a script, you know, like a normal kind of when you plug your push in and it comes up on your preferences. And it basically, it's an interface and it's really quirky and cool. It's like loads of good graphics. They've got sample libraries and everything. And you just say, hey Timbre, like you say, Alexa, open a track and do this, this and this. And it's just still not there. It's just, I was saying to everybody then, I can do it quicker. Like create me a drum rack with, you know, so and so on, and it does it. But it's just like with voice, obviously, I'm a lot quicker at doing it. But if I start typing it, there's a few. I mean, on my YouTube feed, it just comes up every day. Ableton Live with Claude or whatever, and I've got 2 of them used as scripts, but I'm typing, I'm not making music, and it's just like, doesn't feel right. But the voice activated ones, when they get it right, I was working with a guy before I left Ableton, he was doing it for educational needs, people who had disabilities, like, that's cool. If you're doing it and you have got the capacity to do it, crack on. Do you know what I mean? For now, I think we're about another, well, I used to say we're about 5 years away, we're probably 18 months away from that just being perfect. It will be.
The extensions are better, right?
Yeah, well, somebody said something about they're more like human. It's like you telling, oh, that was last night, wasn't it? Sorry. It's more, it's you telling it what you want it to do rather than it suggesting. Yes.
Yeah. I've even sampled it. I haven't got a wine glass, so let's get your attention. All right. Okie dokie. So, in the kind of like past year or so, I've been working very intensely in my un-music related day job, but I've also been making a lot of my own tracks, and on top of that, I now produce for several artists. So that's kind of like a bit of the context. What that's meant is I've been able to get extremely efficient at the finishing a track portion of making music.
Amazing.
Which, thankfully for me, it's great because it seems like I've got business forever. Because it seems to be the hardest thing that everyone struggles with, including myself, probably like 8 or 9 years ago. So as a result, I've come up with all sorts of different kind of approaches to getting a track finished. I always bang on about it every time at these sessions, but it's no good on there. It doesn't want to be on your hard drive. Get it out into the world. You never know. So in previous sessions, I'll just skip ahead. Apologies if you've been to a previous session and seen my cringe graphics and cheesy things, but I mentioned this in the February meeting, and I kind of brushed over it because we were kind of doing a session on remixing. Name is in progress, although it might stick. But what I found is people tend to be quite good in the kind of experimentation, creativity part, because that's the fun part. It's the stuff that's instantly rewarding. It gives you a kind of like dopamine hit. Where people tend to be a bit weaker is the admin and organization part and the focus and finishing part. And what you might find is, set yourself a goal, right, this Saturday I'm finishing my track, and before you know it, at lunchtime, you are experimenting and it's going in a different direction. Or, even worse, you're supposed to be finishing a track and then you're spending 25 minutes looking for a new snare drum to fit. What I find with music, it's kind of like a job, it's like work, but if that creative flow is derailed for any reason, you lose the momentum. It's all about momentum, getting in that flow state, staying positive, not hating what you're making. So I split my time, and I'm quite strict about it, into these kind of triangle proportions, so in these corners. So when I'm focusing and finishing, I am not experimenting, it's less creative, and I'm certainly not organizing and doing admin stuff. So the extensions part kind of fits into the admin side. Anything that can be automated, anything that's like a repeatable thing that's taking time out of your day, get the computer to do that. That's what they're there for. So you can focus on finishing your track. Very important. So today we're going to look at kind of multi-selector racks. There you go. Bit of information there. And the other part of the focus and finishing, which is this is from the slides from February, but we're going to go into a bit more detail today, is what we call the 80% rule. Again, I'm just full of made-up rules. What I find with working with other producers is when they're working on a track, they get very kind of perfectionist at the early stages of the music making process. What happens is you'll spend ages crafting the perfect drum loop or the perfect bass line, and it might take, 9 hours of your probably limited time to do it. Then, when you start adding in other elements of the track, it doesn't really gel with this thing I've already invested all that time in. Problem is, are you going to let go of that initial idea knowing how much time you spent on it? It's kind of like a sunk cost fallacy. So what I tend to do is say, no, 80% is plenty. You put stuff into your project that, as long as it's not distractingly bad, as long as it's good enough to get to the next step, once you start moving the next bit, you'll be like, oh, actually, I need to tweak that earlier thing. Well, I only spent half an hour doing it, so I'm ready to let it go. When I find people spend ages on the first bit, they never get to the next bit. It's the next bit that will inform the next bit, and before you know it, you've got somewhere. So I've been able to, and I'll show you a project that I did in basically 2 days, and it's quite a big project because I followed these rules. I'd done my admin, so I wasn't looking for samples. I'd done my creativity in a different time of day. Did all that over the last summer when I didn't have time to finish, so I just spent it doing creativity stuff. And then all my creative projects, I used my admin skills to organize it so that when it came time to make a track, that was all done and I could focus on finishing it. Does that all make sense? I'm going to bang on about this at every meeting now. No matter what the topic, I'm going to shoehorn it in because it's super effective. And Like this, yeah, and I said in the last one, it's not a sob story, I don't expect people to get the violins out, but I was working 2 full-time jobs last year, from August to this August, because I got a promotion, but they didn't backfill my old job, so obviously I just had to do 2 jobs. And I was more productive with music with less time. I was making tracks and producing stuff for people, getting signed to biggest labels ever, with the least amount of time I've ever had in my music career so far. So I'm like, okay, so it works, efficiencies. Okay, Selector. So thinking about like, and this is mostly for drums initially, but you can use this for any sound. So how many of you, when you're using MIDI to create a drum loop, are using drum racks? Show of hands, drum racks, yep. Do you tend to make your own drum racks, or are you using kits, like a drum kit? Hands up for kit. Okay, yeah.
But the idea is to make your own, but we just never get there.
Yeah. So obviously the Ableton drum rack is kind of like similar to having an old, I don't know, an Akai drum machine, and you've got your pads in order, and normally when you've got a MIDI clip that's playing like a drum loop, like you kind of showed for the extension that generated it, you're like, oh, that's the kick, that's the snare. Sometimes there's no kind of like set way where snare is always that note. It used to be like general MIDI, that the things are in order, but the problem is you'll cycle through a kick, and what was a snare in your previous kick is now a ride, and you have to manually move it. But that's good, and obviously if you've got a drum kit in there, and that's how I used to work, I would have a drum rack, I'd have my kick, snare, hi-hats, brilliant. What I found was, it's like, oh, this kick's fine, but I want to change the snare. Okay, I can go into the snare pad, and I can click on the MIDI, I can cycle through different samples of snares. There are things in Ableton that make it easier now. You've got the similar sound thing. But remember, if you're finishing a track, and I find it's better to get it done in a day, because you've got to get that momentum. Looking for a snare, if it's going to take more than, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the problem is you won't do it, because you're like, I really should change that snare. You're like, it's going to take 10 minutes and I need to do this. Or maybe you do it, and then it takes 20 minutes, and you're like, I kind of got derailed here. They're like, let me just check my phone. Let me just go and grab a coffee. No. So what these racks are doing, and this is why I've moved from drum racks into Selector Racks, is you can change every part of your percussion across an entire track in seconds. You can save it as like a snapshot, so it's there, it's non-destructive. And what I've been doing now is bouncing everything to audio, and effectively you'll have your session view with hundreds of project-specific samples, drum loops, toms, claps, you name it. And then when you come to arrange, it's like, shoop, shoop, shoop. How's that? It's 80% there, good. Put it in, and you can just build an entire, very complicated percussion rack in minutes. And you can go back. It's like, actually, I've been going along, and that kick was great. I've just changed the bass. The kick is now, I can just change this to another one. That sounds totally different now. We'll go with that one. Simple, simple, simple. So yeah, so that's the kind of rationale behind it. I started with, I think it was like a snare selector was my first one I made. And I was like, hi-hats would be good. And now it's gone to, there won't be a drum now that I don't put in a selector. Everything's a selector. So if you imagine your entire drum kit of every single sound, selector for everything. Because we had a quick chat about before, each selector then you can process separately. If you want to bounce it all to audio, you can do it individually, you can do it as a group. So if you just want to chuck the drum loop in, and the other good thing about it, at the end of each project, you've basically made a sample pack. So one of my admin jobs next year is to just go through my last year and a half worth of projects and then just organize everything, hopefully with an extension. FOTN sample pack V1, there you go. Have all my unused bits. Does that all make sense? Any questions? Is that all good? So it seems admin-y, but it's going to be worth it. Doing the admin means you have more time to be creative. Right, let's get over to some Abletons then. Look at this. Right. So let me know if you need me to zoom in. Does that all look okay? So with Ableton, you've obviously got samplers and simpler. So just for an example of how we're going to create our kind of selector rack. So here's a sampler. So this is the fully fledged sampler, not the simpler, the big one. And here's one I made earlier. This is like a 5-year-old device that we made at one of the Ableton groups. We went through and sampled a little Amazon kalimba. So I wanted to show you the different kind of mapping zones. So if you zoom in, I've got a Windows mouse here, it's a bit slow. So look there, you've got the zone. Click on that. So you can see in this one, we're using the key map zone, got key. So for this instrument, because it's actually a melodic instrument and we've sampled lots of individual keys off a little kalimba, I then popped them in here in the order that the keys are, so C low, C3, and I've done 3 different velocities for each note. So you've got all the keys mapped, and then we've also got the velocities. So I played a note quietly, and then medium, and then loud. Pop that in there, and what that means is you can then play this little thumb piano. So if I hit it hard, you can hear the kind of metallic thing that I usually use my fingernails on it to cling. So that is the key map and the velocity map in sampler. But you notice this one, cell. So that's the selector. So by default, it's just playing everything that you throw in there. So this is like an actual tonal instrument that we've multi-sampled, different velocities, different keys. So that's why we're not using the selector, we're using the key and the velocity. Does that all make sense? Yep, all good. So let's have a look.
Do you remember how long it took you roughly
To do that one, we did it in one of the sessions. So it was with about half an hour. Yeah, it was very quick. Yeah. It doesn't take as long as you think. In fact, I used to have a hang drum like preset on my computer, but I've like reinstalled it so many times. I'm like, I really need a hang drum quick for this idea. And in the end, I couldn't find anything. But then I just found a sample pack of someone who just recorded all the different hang notes. I'm like, fine. It took me 10 minutes just to make it into an instrument, and I've got it then. So it is pretty quick. Cool. So some of these took a little bit longer, but you'll see.
Just a quick one. There is one extension. I didn't demo it because I didn't understand it. And it's called Drum Rack Maker.
Yeah.
And you can. I think the idea is that you just look at a sample pack, and it will just drop them all in place.
In order,
it's
yeah.
just a bit of cheap code to get to where you're.
Yeah.
This is better.
Yeah, well, it depends. So I think having something that can automatically generate a drum rack, those are great for, like I said, the experimentation and creativity part of the triangle. Don't make me go back to my slides. There's a time and a place. And I think a lot of those extensions are great for kind of generating the seeds of an idea. In fact, Ableton and Max for Live has always been great for that, to throw something in and just come up with something you wouldn't have originally thought of. Today's about turning that into a finished thing that's signed to a label and people will listen to it. It's very important. So we make music to get it out there. So here's some of my selectors. I will show you the kick one. This is the one that I briefly showed, I think it was February, and everyone, I'll have a look at it.
So how do you build up? Do you start from like the sampler device?
I will show you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to cover that. Don't worry. But yes, we're going to do one together today because I noticed, because I've given it to people, I've given my samples, like these multi-samples, to friends, and like, I still don't know how you did it. Like, right, I'll show you how to do it. It's quite easy. Here's my kick drum sampler. So basically, I've got racks within racks that are basically, I think I've counted it, I think there's like 860 kick drum samples in here, organized by genre, and I can use these macro snapshots to just quickly jump to different kicks. But because we've got these macro controls, we can make them all the same volume. We can change the pitch of each kick. We can change the transients. We can decrease the transients. We can increase the transients. We can saturate it. And what that means is we can have an affected, pitched, volume mapped, decay released, perfect kick for the track, and then compare that with another kick that we've volume matched and got it perfect for the track. And you can do that with like 25 kicks, and it's all your samples. And it means if you want to quickly check, actually, I think kick A was better, try it in context, go back to kick B. It's like a second rather than, wait, which drum was it? I used to have to write down which sample I was using on one note. because I want to try it, then I'm going to try a different one, but I'd have to duplicate the drum rack. It's like, no, this does it all for you. So we'll come back to that one because that's obviously a bit more complicated. So this is one I made the other day. I think I found the samples for it. Basically, I was doing a quick search because obviously I've got a lot of the kind of vintage drum machines that are in the Ableton packs. I've collected some over the years, but I just Googled it and a free vintage sample pack came up, and it's all drum machines, I think back to the 60s, including some like weird Soviet era obscure drum machines that someone's gone through and sampled. So I grabbed that sample pack and I popped it in here. So if we go to our zone, so obviously now it defaults to key. Well, none of these snares are pitched, so we're not using the key map. We're not interested in velocity because they're all just one volume. It's the selector, this little one here, that we're going to have a look at. Aha! So now the selector's doing the selecting of the sample. So in here, I think I've got the entire amount, 128 samples is your limit, but you can add racks upon racks. So 128 samples per selector, but you can have pretty much as many selectors as you want until your computer explodes. So you're not really that limited. And here, rather than it being the pitch of the key or the velocity that changes the sample, it's this little blue bar at the top here, this thing. It's got a green dot on it because I've mapped this blue bar to this selector. In fact, I'll hover over here and I'll select with this. So you can see that moving. So every time we move this, it's picking a different sample. Cool. So pretty simple, and you've probably seen stuff like that before. So this is kind of like the basic how you would set it up. The good thing is, obviously 128 samples, we're using one instance of sampler, so one device. So it's very efficient. You know, I've got 900 kicks, 128 snares, I've got all these tops and things, but I'm only using a handful of devices, so it's a very efficient way of working. Let's go back. My mouse, because I've got my other laptop, it keeps flying off the screen and going somewhere else. I can't see it. Where you gone? Where you gone? Ah, it is over there. Right, just bear with me. Let me try this. Oh, yep, okay, there we go. I think my screen there is like set up to be above this screen, so the mouse keeps flying off the screen. Yeah, wonderful. So that's your basic setup. One rack. So it's still in a drum rack. So you can obviously have multiple selectors in a drum rack, which we'll have a look in a sec. But the good thing is, we can map things like, so I've got decay and release, standard stuff, velocity sensitivity. So I map it once here, which means I can just go through and try different snares at different levels. So I can be like, right, this snare works well there, at a different pitch. Maybe with a bit more, oh, my mouse is gone again, a bit of drive. So if I like that particular sound, I can go to the little macro snapshot over here, and then I can just go add. Nope, add, there's my snapshot. Zoom, 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 new, there we go. There we go. Why has that gone so wide? I've never seen it that wide before. So we can call this snare 1. Give it a snap. And we can try a different one. Okay, that's good because it's a louder one. So let's make it a bit of a shorter decay. Turn the drive on it. So you can gain match it a bit. And we can go new. So the good thing is, you can do some quite detailed kind of effects, transient shaping, pitching, and you can have a selection, maybe 10 potential snares. And then when it's in context with the rest of the track, when you add a new kick, that snare doesn't match. Let me try one of these other 10 that I know are roughly in the right ballpark. Number 7's a bit a better match for kick number 2. Okay, and you can keep, it's almost like you're leapfrogging through the process. You're kind of going back and forth. And slowly but surely, you just iterate yourself towards the thing that sounds better. But you're doing it fast. You can get stuff done. I'll show you the drum project for this breakbeat tune I did. And I did the entire drums in half a day. It doesn't sound that impressive until you see the state of the drums, but I'll show you. So, drum selector, snare selector. Any questions? Because it's about to get more complicated. Is that all good? That all makes sense? Right. Let's go to our tops. top selector. This is one of my earliest ones. So in concept, that's just one sampler having one type of sound, a snare drum in that case, and we can change which snare we're doing. And if we've got MIDI going in the background, it'll just change the sound as we move it up and down. Perfect. You can have as many of these as you want. Obviously, there's a limited number of macro controls, but you can get around that in other ways. I'll show you. So for this one, this is my top selector rack. And effectively, I've got hi-hat 1, hi-hat 2 with pitch. We've got shakers and cymbals. However, in this one, I had the brainwave. So you know when you've got open hats and closed hats, obviously in a drum machine, you often set it so that it's like what's called a choke group. So the open hat turns off when you hit the closed hat because it's tried to emulate like an actual cymbal. Otherwise, you can't have an open and a closed hat at the same time. So let me just turn this up. Let me turn my open hat up. So there's our open. Might be easier to show in a MIDI. Let's have a look. Oh, my mouse has disappeared again. Where are you? There you go. Let's create a little MIDI. So, good thing about these racks, it all kind of names it so you know where you're at. So if we do something basic, let's turn this on. I like this new ramp thing, that's cool. I only discovered that the other day. So let's keep that one open. And then we'll close it. This could be wonderful. So you can hear that one's left open, and then that one closes really fast. Now I can cycle through my drum rack and see which one actually fits. Cool. So all I did there in my selectors was painstakingly go through all my samples and find where I had, because when you go through sample packs, there's normally an open hat folder and a closed hat folder. So I went through and found all the closed hats, and in the same order in the open hat selector, put the open equivalent. Does that make sense? So if I select through here, my top selector, whoops, no, where are you at? Hat select. So it's not only going through the closed hats with that selector, I've mapped it to also go through the open hats for that same drum sample. So as it's going through, it doesn't matter if we're in the open hat, it's also checking it. No, go back, yeah, there you go. There you go. So they're all mapped to be the same order, if that makes sense. And then, if you're not aware, all you have to do is set then to what's called a choke group and make sure the open and the close are set to the same group, which means only one can play at once. So that's that, and I've just set it up twice. So I've got a choke group for open and closed hat 1, and the same again for open and closed hat 2. But as you can imagine, you can build quite a complicated MIDI pattern with shakers, cymbals, hats, and then what I tend to do is basically grab a bunch of MIDI, try lots of different variations, go through here, try lots of different variations, different pitches, different decay settings, and effectively just build up your own tops loops that are specific to your track. And then you can either keep them as macro controls, like here in the snapshots. What I've been doing recently is just bouncing it to audio. And then you just commit into audio, you've got a bunch of samples, 80% there, move on to the next bit. If you need to go back and change the MIDI's still there, but it means you're not fiddling around with MIDI. It's like, that's good enough, move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing. So that's why it's a very good workflow speeder-upper. Any questions on that? I'm flying through because I can show you some more. We want to make our own rack, which is very important, so you know how to do it. And I can show you it in context of some projects. But that all makes sense. I know I'm flying through. I know it's been nerdy.
That's good.
Cool. Yep. Right. So we've basically showed like just a snare drum, and it's just the pitch of the snare. And we've got like a dial to change the pitch if you want to. Same with the tops. We can obviously change the pitch individually. However, This one is slightly different. Notice, we've not got a drum rack. We're just using it sampled in a sampler. You can use the sample selector for anything, and it doesn't have to be drums. This is my bells and clang. So the types of music I'm making at the moment, I've noticed, have lots of like cowbells, they have like claves, and with those type of like sounds, they're actually tonal to a certain extent. And I used to have to put them in drum racks one by one, pitch one down by 3 semitones, one up by 2 to make a tonal pattern to fit my track. But then the next track's in a different key. I'd have to go through and change the pitch of those drum racks. Nightmare. You won't do it, or it'll take you all day and you haven't finished your track. So, in the admin part of the triangle, creative triangle, admin and organisation, I went through and added all my bells and clang samples. Obviously, all these things are in different keys. So, I went through each individual sample and pitched them, detuned them to all to be C2 or C3 or something. It probably is still in here. Yeah, there we go. I've got a tuner in there. That's because I've been tuning them all. So I went through all those kind of like tonal claves, cowbells, and made sure they were as close to C as possible. What that means is, if I open a project that's in F minor, my bells and clangs now can be played on the keyboard. And I can go through. That wasn't that original pitch. That's probably some. You can see the state of them. Some of them are like, that was actually A sharp 2, but it's minus 25 cents. Do that legwork once, and that probably took, I don't know, 5 hours. It's done forever, which means I can pull in this clang selector into any project now, and it's all in key. Amazing. Good stuff. What that means is when you're in a track, you're like, oh, I really wish I had a cowbell. You can quickly try 17 cowbells. You wouldn't have tried all those different sounds if you had to pitch them each time. You just won't do it. You know, it's too time consuming. It'll just derail you. Because they're in there already, you'll try stuff. You're like, oh, you'll stumble across. I was aiming for a cowbell, but I've got this other clang thing. That actually works better. Save it. Remember, macro snapshots. You can just save it in here, and you've got it forever then. So, and then because we're using sampler, the fully fledged sampler, not simpler, I now add FM to everything as well. So let's make a little clangy thing. Let's see how we get. Perfect. Wow. Let's make that the actual length it should be. So imagine we're just grooving around. Add a kick drum. Right, oh, that's a quite cool sound. Right, we'll save it. Then we can try some different ones. Well, that's nice. We can change it. Change the decay, obviously, because we mapped it. Take away some of the transients. Or we can start adding some FM. And it's, right, I'll save that. And maybe I'll even just record that in. And what I tend to do is, I don't even really use the macro snapshots anymore. I tend to just grab it as audio. So I'm like, right, I like that. In you go. I'm like, right, what does that one sound with a different sound? Nice. Within 20 minutes, you've got so much stuff to work from. And
So do you copy the MIDI and paste it as audio? You said, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
copy the clip, paste bounce audio. And if you wanted to, say for example,
That is safe.
yeah, it's legendary.
Like printing it live.
So here's a good thing that I tend to do as well. I like that sweep. So what I would do is drag this into this, the actual arrangement window. Whoops, in you come. Grab it there. I just like that kind of sweep over time. Oop, I put it in the top selector. Make you a bit bigger. So I like that sweep. I want to capture it. I don't want to faff around. So I can just go in here because it's this. I can go to my, oops, MIDI off. There you go. So let's just record that over time. It was cool, wasn't it? Just to do just like a sweep, maybe to there and then back down again. And I think I can just copy and paste that as bounced audio in like that. Okay, I think that's got our sweep there. Let's double check. Done. So it's like, oh, I've got a quick idea for that. Whack it in as audio, move on to the next thing. So over time, so sometimes I stumble across things I've made. I'm like, well, that's well good. I don't even remember doing that. I was in the zone. So yeah, that tends to how it work. Now, if that's like something that's like, I like that. Right, what you do, go in here, and you name it to yourself, FM sweep over time. Save it. So when you're coming back later, oh, what was that FM sweep that I did that was over time? Ah. Yeah, it was called FM Sweep Over Time, and you can just recall it. Let's go back to the original. Does that make sense? You can see how you can kind of like build stuff up quite fast and efficiently. Yeah, any questions? I know I'm flying through it. There'll be plenty of time for asking questions afterwards as well. So, go to you. So, here's another example of something that's tonal. This is my tom selector, and if I expand it, you'll see it's called Tom Selector Advanced. I do have a simple one, but I thought, why not? I'll show you the advanced one. So, same again. I went through all my toms and laboriously went through every single one and pitched them all. As you can see, some have detuned to that. Oof, it's a nightmare. But once it's done, it's done. You only have to do it once. This is what you do in your admin sessions. When you're too tired to be creative, organize your stuff. So same again with this one. Let me just turn that off, yeah. Do it again. Capture that. Best MIDI timing of all time. That's what Quantize is for. So I literally will build quite complicated tom percussion racks. I'll just duplicate that. Right, let's try a different preset and see how those go together. Perfect again. Montage. Nice. Right. So if I just get you, make you a bit quieter. Get our kickback. Get your pitch down. So once we've got like a little bit of a groove that we like, then it's time to start cycling through your samples. But for this one, we've obviously got the FM from the same as the other one. We've got some pitch envelopes that we can add, which is quite cool for toms. And I've also got an envelope ring modulator. And again, you're going through. The great thing about having the FM, the pitch mod, ring modulation, even though you've got quite a lot of samples, with a few tiny tweaks, you're basically just generating loads and loads of samples. But because you're tweaking it as you're listening to your project, it's all in context. So you build up probably about 10 or 20 samples. And then when you finish doing that, I delete the MIDI out of there, save it as a different version, and then I'll work with the samples that I've got and to see how they fit together. But again, it's just grabbing what you need to get to the next stage. Because when you start adding bass lines and leads and stuff, you're like, that one sub bass is a bit too low. I can either go back and find my MIDI, pull it back in again, or I can just delete it out, or I can trim the audio. But it's just speeds things up a lot. I used to get like really into the detail at the early stages, and then you just don't get any work done. Does that all make sense? That's the rationale behind it. It does work, and I'll show you some big projects to see what I managed to generate in like a half a day. So, shall we have a look at how to actually make one? Sound good? Yep. Let's close you lot down and open this one. So I was thinking, what would be a good thing to put into a rack? So I've got a bunch of kind of like random synth-generated sounds. And has anyone used beat surfing? Is it beat surfing? Random metal, random. So I've started making some samples. So what you would do, my approach would be, I guess I need to put my serial. It might be because it's not on the internet. But here's some I made earlier. So basically, you go into your instrument. If it's a tonal instrument, pick a key. It just makes it easier for putting in your rack afterwards. I think I did all these as C. So what we got here are some samples. And I imagine this worked. Basically, I just did a MIDI clip. I think it's like half a bar long. Turn off the loop here, so that when you bounce to audio, I'll show you what it would look like. So if you've got the loop on, when you do bounce to audio, probably won't even bounce anything because the device isn't on, but I'll see what it looks like. So it pulled the sample out even though it needed what? So notice, because we had the loop on, bounce to audio's bounced it like this, so you've got one there and it's looped it for you, which is great if you're working on a loop. But because we want to one-shot these into a sampler, turn the loop off. So if I go back over here, turn the loop off, now if I copy that, paste bounced audio, I need some more scenes.
Is paste bounce audio just part of your workflow now?
It is, yeah.
I use it all the time.
Yeah. So notice this time when we paste bounced audio, it didn't create that looped part of the audio, which we can cut out, but it's just wasted like bits. We don't need it. So we got that. So we'll delete that one. So I've selected. I just did a few samples. So these are my recorded earlier. Cool. So what we can do, what we need to do is add an instrument. So let's have a look. We want to add the sampler. Sampler. In it goes. So at the moment, there's nothing in there. And standard style, you would just chuck a sample into the bit where it says drop sample here. Obvious. If you want to do a rack or a selector or a multi-sample instrument, it's all about the zones. Get in the zone. There you go. So there's nothing stopping us from dragging and dropping that straight from the session view. You can drag anything in there. However, because I like to be organized, what I would recommend is actually organizing these samples and saving them somewhere, so that if you want to use it for a different rack or you want to share it with somebody, it's there. Otherwise, if we throwed it in there, we'd have to save it in this project. If that project gets deleted or you move to another hard drive, like, oh no, I made that really good rack, where is it? So always, if you're making samples, save them somewhere. So in my focus stuff, you'll see I've got some very organized stuff over here. Scroll down. I've got focus instruments, focus samples, I've got scaffolding, focus effects, all my kind of stuff. So let's go to focus samples. And I should have some, what did I call it? Let's see if I can, I'm sure I had a sample as sampled synths. We'll whack it in percussion. Noise and glitch percussion. Put it somewhere that kind of makes sense. I thought, synth percussion, perfect, there we go. There we go, nice. Oh, random, we've got some random stuff in there. Cool, even better. So, there's the folder I want to put it. Again, I could just drag it in there. What I like to do, and I expect with the new extensions, something can automate this, but I like to open it in Finder, find my randoms, so it's the bounces, and copy and paste them into a new location. Let's have a look. We want all the yesterday ones and not the today ones. So I just create a new folder. Doesn't matter where it is. Temp. pop it in there. I'm going to wipe those in there. I'm just going to get rid of the ASD files for now, because what I'm going to do is rename these so we know what they are. So we can go to our rename. I don't know if in Windows you can do these batch renames, but in a Mac it's very simple. So what I'm going to do here is going to replace the text, and we'll call it, in fact, replace text. We'll do format. There we go. So we're just going to call this random metal. And then just rename those all. Nice. There we go. And then we're going to drag those back into Ableton. And now we're going to put them into that folder location that we had. Just means the next time we come to do it, we haven't got like bounce 0445. It's like, what the heck is that? No, we've named it. I know it's a little bit faff, but that was like 30 seconds. I'm sure there's an extension that can go, turn my bounced audio into clips, please, and name it properly. Yeah. That'd be nice. So, here's all our samples that we just made. All sorts of weird stuff in there. I had the foresight to put the key in this one. Great, but we'll figure it out later. You'll see that some of these are loops, but we'll figure them out. So let's go back to our rack. So if we open our zone, make this a bit smaller. Let's just drag all of this lot, all the randoms, in here. Random metal. You pop it into this location here. Pop. So there's all our samples. If I hit a key, every single one of those samples is going to hit at once. We need to tell Ableton, how do you want to play these? And you say, well, we want to use the Selector Rack. So here's a quick tip. If you highlight all the samples you've got in the rack, it tells you how many you've got, 41 of 41. So then, if you grab the bar at the end, where it's a tiny little bracket, yep, oh, it's fiddly. Oh, there we go. And can you see that little number? I know it's tiny. 41 samples, so we want to select this to be 41 across. However, remember, because this is MIDI, it starts at 0, so we actually want 40. So that's 41 possible bars for our selection. And now we can go distribute ranges equally. Bop. And then it's done it for us. Again, that's probably an extension could do that, but it's done it in order. I don't know where my top one's gone. I mustn't have had it selected. Let's select it all again. 41. Bop. I don't know why it's doing that. Weird. But there's our selector. And as I said before, you've got our the little selector thing at the top. We can do it with the mouse. You can MIDI map it, but obviously we want to control it with a macro. So if we group this, go to our macros, our selector. Now we can right-click this, and we can map it to anything. Always have the selector at the front. There we go. So now, so all those samples are now in there. And if we wanted to, we can still edit each individual sample. So I think I remember down here there's some odd ones. Let's see. That were like, perfect. Yeah, good example. So some of these are loops, which is a pain. So if I click on this one, 97, I can still trim this and specify that one's actually a one shot. So we might actually select that, number 27. There we go. You've still got control over each sample. The pitch, you can change the warp in, you can have them loop in, and it's still in there. So you can throw loops in there. You can throw an entire track into there and just pick out one tiny second of it. And that can be your selector if you've got it in there. Because you've still got control. If I click on the next sample, it's got its own settings. Same with this one, we can bring that one in. But maybe we want the middle one. Maybe the middle one's better. Yeah, you can do that. No problem. And if this one was a different key, so these are A, so we can say actually the root of this was A. So we can specify A, and then when we're playing our track in C, it will pitch it to our key of our track. So yeah, is everyone's eyes glazing over? I know it's a bit like, but these selector racks are a game changer, especially when combined with bounce to audio, because you just generate clips. And then you've effectively, it's like you've got a project with hundreds of samples that are perfectly tailored to your track. And then you can just focus on what's the best of this lot. And it's very creative, and you really get into the flow of making music. Makes it really fun. Because you're doing the admin. All this is like admin. But you can do this while they're just watching something on a second monitor. It's like, I'm just going through, I'm just trimming these, making sure these start exactly where they're supposed to. This isn't creative, it's just work. But you can do that anytime. You don't need to be in the creative flow. You don't need to be inspired to organize samples. You don't need to be inspired to check to see what key it's in and then pitch it using the tuner. That can be done anytime. And I don't, personally, I'm super productive in the morning. I start to peter off about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, normally because I started at 3 a.m. By that point, I'm like burnt out. Music doesn't even sound good anymore. It's like I can't even see the wood for the trees anymore. It's horrible. But like, what can I do? I can do 2 hours of admin. But the next time I come to make music, I'm like, I'm so glad I did that admin. Especially if I've got people working in the studio with me. They're like, oh, I really want to try this. I'm like, blip, 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 blip. It's like, how did you make that? It's like, weeks and weeks of admin. But it's like you're doing the legwork when it doesn't matter, so that when you're making music, you can be creative. Is that enough info of how to create a rack, or do you want a bit more information? Because I know I've like kind of whizzed through it all. Does that all make sense? Yeah. I'm sure there's kind of like guides on how to do it, but be creative. You can make a selector rack with anything. And if you want to go through and just say, you could have like all sorts of like melodic content, you could just pick out little bits. And if you just go in and change the pitch so they're all at C, the next time you open a project in G flat, it's like, still in key.
Would you use simpler for things that are like more musical phrases that have pitches? If you use sampler with one time stretch,
yeah, anything that's actually musical phrases, I actually use the arrange window. Yeah. So I'll like, throw it in the arrange window because I like the stretch. I'll manually stretch stuff, chop it up, and then I run it through. I've got I'll show you. I've got my own glitch rack. So in my Focus instruments and Focus effects, I mean, this has been a game changer. Every instrument, any Ableton stock device, if it's like, I don't know, Echo Boy's Echo, I never use any presets anymore. I map everything to macros. So if I open up, say, Echo, so you got Echo, everyone familiar with like the Echo Boy? Yeah. It's a great thing, but I haven't got time to be going through all the different like settings. Like some of the settings on BPM match, so you have to click that. Yeah, I'm not doing that. So I went through and then opened up Echo Boy there, and I mapped all the main parameters, so the time, the feedback, the feel, the saturation. My presets are now in Ableton. So if you open up Echo Boy, it's just the init, whoops. It'll probably just be the init patch. Yeah, default. I never go off default. I almost always just use the default setting in plugins, and I use macros to change it instead. It's miles better. So I've got some of my standard go-tos, and I name them, because obviously the presets in Echo Boy are like Flimpy Flam. It's like, I don't know what that means. It's like, name it something that makes sense, because they're all just goofy names, aren't they? Some of them aren't descriptive at all. So it's really good for that. And even when you've got a device that doesn't even allow presets, there's some great Max for Live ones. So like, take for example, this one. So Ego doesn't even have presets because it's like a Max for Live device. It just looks like that. So if I map everything, now I've got presets. They're my presets, and I can reorder them and have them however I want.
So you can put all 7 or 8 effects on from that one plugin.
Yep.
Take a picture.
Snapshot it,
and then mess it all up again and
yep.
do it, and
yeah.
so on. Yeah.
And obviously in here, so in your macro, you can exclude. So I've already got it. So I exclude effectively the send. This is an insert send, which I'm sure I've talked about before. I exclude that from the macro variations. So, but I can then just hit random, and it just reorganizes everything. In fact, I took feedback out as well. So the mix and the feedback are the same, and I can just randomize everything else. But you can choose what you want to randomize. Because obviously the feedback's randomizing, the send, it's like, it can go well. So no, constrain that. So you can just randomize anything. And then if you like it, hit it as a snapshot, you got it forever. Hit save, put it back in your Focus devices. But yeah, I've got like a glitch thing. So in terms of like anything melodic, I mean, I've got some crazy glitch ones. Again, so there was a free device called Temperance. Really good device, but the presets were rubbish. It's basically, it's a tonal reverb which can be set to a key. Very nice. But you would think that in this presets, like, give me C major. Oh, that's not a preset. Again, it's just flimpy names. Right, okay, wiped all the presets, and I just mapped the macros to all the different keys, and then I just made my own keys. So now I've got every key, major and minor. Obviously, it's only 12 or whatever. And they're all in there now, so I can just do that in an instant.
Can you just show us that, please? I don't.
Temperance, yeah, so basically I think there's a paid one which probably has more functionality, and effectively it's
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got the macros are set to the mix, the size, and then I've got macros within macros, which are just for the scale. So yeah, there you go. And I've got a good glitch effect racked as well. Which one's that one? Multi glitch ambiances. So with melodic stuff, I tend to throw it through everything. Well, I might not have installed, but here's all the kind of stuff I have on my glitch rack. Billions and billions. Bounce to audio, chop it up, put it back, tweak it. Does that all make sense? So I'm just show you some projects of it in action. Yeah.
Before you go over that,
Yep.
so once you've got all your samples in your, once you've got all your samples in the sampler,
Yep.
how do you add an instrument rack to make it so you can like go through different sample presets?
Yeah, sorry, I probably...
Show me that again.
Yeah, no problem at all, and I'm flying.
Right.
So, I've got this madness going on. Right, let me delete all this crap. Delete, 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 delete. Okay. It was, so I'll tell you what, I'll ungroup this as well. So this is what it looks like when it's a... Can I ungroup? I know, it's stuck now. It's this one, isn't it? Okay. So there's your sampler.
Yeah.
Normal sampler. There's your samples in your zone.
Yeah.
Okay. It's this blue thing. That's the thing. So obviously at the moment, it's not attached to anything. So all you need to do, and this is the same with any device, if it's selected, right click, group. If you want it in a drum rack, so it's just on one pad, you can group it to a drum rack. But if it's tonal, if you just group it, that means when you play the keyboard, it will pitch the notes. If it's in a drum rack, the note will just play that pad, and it'll be one key. Does that make sense? So once it's grouped, whoops, obviously now we've got our macro controls. So in our selector, if you right click on there, you can then map it. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
And then it's there. I mean, I tend to keep it a sample selector. If I've got multiple racks and it's like, okay, hi-hat selector, tom selector, maybe call it something different, and then you know.
Yeah.
And then you can obviously go through. And the great thing is we can just map everything, the pitch, the global, we can change the sustain, release, and you only have to have one macro control for everything, which is just super handy. So you don't have to keep menu diving. It's always on the first screen. I always have the same stuff on the same 8 rows, so it doesn't matter which rack I've got open. I'm like, that's decay, that's pitch, da-da-da. And then you just get into the zone. Does that make sense? This will be recorded, and I'll give you as well. Yeah, if you get stuck, let me know, and I'll give you these racks. I don't know how legal it is to give you the samples, but I just found them online, so you're more than welcome to have a dig. Oh, and then the kick drum selector, the most complicated of them all. It's worth showing you there. So with kind of electronic music, feels like the kick can make or break a track. And when I'm producing tracks for other people, it's the first thing I go through. And they'll obviously give me 5 reference tracks. I'll borrow, obtain, acquire the kick from those reference tracks. I think I showed you Drum Clone before. Very good tool. It just takes the kick off anything and resynthesizes it using like kind of an algorithm. Very useful. Because once you've got the exact precise kick, you know you're in the right ballpark, and you know if it's the kick that needs to change, or is it the bass, or is it the other elements. So in here I've got my selector, but you'll notice this has got a kick selector, the normal kind of macro controls, again, decay in the same place, transients, sustain, saturation. But at the end here, we've got another selector. So basically what we've got here is selectors within selectors. Because I wanted to get around that limitation of 128 in a rack. I'm like, but I've got more than that many kicks. I'm like, what if I just created genre selectors? So I've got all these different genres of kick, and this selector changes which genre of kick we're in. I should be doing it. That's so good. I don't know if you can, I'll zoom in so you can see that. So in my genre selector, I'm slowly but surely working through the genres. So if I go to sub, can you see the little light moving?
So each one of those is another 128 on it, the capability of 128. Have you actually filled them up?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Of course.
So what's the maths on that then? If you've got
I think I worked it out. It's, hang on. About 900.
Come and see this. It's like
Yeah. So there we go. That's those.
How many genres have you got?
So far, indie dance, Innovisions, Afro and deep, melodic techno, techno and breakbeats, vintage drum machines, and this one is a blank one that I keep for track-specific kind of reference kicks. I can pop them in there. And I'll also, when I'm producing someone else's track, grab their original kick, put it in here so I can A/B test between the one I've changed it to. They're like, I like my original kick. I'm just going to press. That's what it sounds like. Like, oh no, yours is mild better. Like, I know. Of course it is. But I've got it.
So all the other macros that you've got set there,
yeah.
did you create them based off one of the
Yeah,
genres? But then every time you create a new one, you remap them to that.
Yeah, so if I go into if I go to the map here, hang on, chain, there we go. So this selector is selecting the selector.
Oh, man.
So yeah, if I go to my, where are we, genre selector, it's slowly but surely cycling through those. So I can have 128 genres of kick drum, and then each have 128 samples. But then I could have, okay, I want a house genre, and then I could have 128 house subgenres of kit with 128 samples for things. So yeah, you can go, all you need is you can just stack selectors upon selectors forever. I do it with all my DJ effects. I have just racks of effects, but you just press a button and it just turns the other ones off. It never uses any performance because it's just not using them. Otherwise, if you had it in a chain, they're all on, and you'd have to like dry wet and they're all getting that. Just have them in a rack. Racks and racks. Yeah. And that's, the funny thing is, this is kind of like basic, like quite a few years old version of Ableton that this has been available. Yeah. It's quite interesting. Like obviously all the new cool stuff with Ableton's like very exciting. You can do a lot with the very basic tools that have been here for like 7 years. Okay, let me show you some projects. I'll show you a basic one. I'll show you a complicated one. And sometimes you create lots and lots of samples. Sometimes you nail it pretty quick. So this one doesn't really have that much going on in it. Well, for me. Again, I think I mentioned this in a previous session. Does anyone know about scaffolding? Has anyone been around when I've talked about scaffolding? Okay. So what I do in my admin portion is go through all the tracks that I think are very good references. And I go through and I extract the drums from every single one, and I pop it into a folder called scaffolding, which looks like this, scaffold, and it's in order of genre. So all the different genres that I'm working on at the moment, and it's just in key and the BPM of each reference. So you basically got the drums in the key and in the BPM of what you're aiming for. It seems weird to go for key in drums. However, a lot of tracks now, so like Innovisions kind of house, Afro house, their toms are tonal. Sometimes they're part of the bass of the track, or the clavs or the cowbells are tonal. Grab one that's in the key of your track. It's like, I want to recreate that. So that's what I did. I always start with the scaffolding because you don't know what you need until you've got the drums. But you don't know what drums you need to make until you've got the other stuff. It's like, how do I do this? Like, you don't build skyscrapers without scaffolding. You need to build a structure to build your main thing, and then you take the scaffolding away. So that's how I tend to work now. It just speeds things right up. Because No.
With the scaffolding approach, say you used to work with artists, like say before you were saying you was looking for a house track that would go on X label. That's what you use because you know what sort of drums feature on it, so you got it to hand. Yeah,
exactly.
So borrowing in mind, you're letting their drum track just
lead the way, because how are you going to come up with the perfect bass? A bass just in solo by itself, the timing of it doesn't even make sense without the context of like the beats and the snares and the toms. And then once you take the scaffolding away and you've got your bass, like, I've got a funky thing. Then you can build drums around that, and it can go off in a different direction to the scaffold, but at least you've got off the starting point. As an electronic musician, you're starting from scratch. You're not jamming with a guitar player or a drummer. You have to just generate it from nothing. You open up a blank template, it's just nothing. You're like, how do I start this? So use bits and bobs to get you to the next bit, and then you can just scrap it. I never use the scaffolding in the final version. So here's an example of the kind of drums that I picked in that work with this track. It's really groovy, semi-afro. tend to do is I'll do a clip that's the intro bit. If I want to see what it sounds like for the rest, I can just navigate through the track like that just to get an idea. So let's see if my recreation is similar. Sure, listen. And here we are, selectors. I've got my tom selector, and I generated, and if you notice so far, I'm going to try some notes in C, but sometimes it works in F, and then I'm like, what did I do there? Oh yeah, I ramped it up as well, and then just paste, bounce audio, paste, bounce audio, paste, bounce audio. And then I just pick the best ones, and they go into the arrangement window. Here we go. And it's just the audio I'm using in my selection, so. My bells and clang selector, created some of them. I made some tops to go with it. That took about 2 hours, and then I've got the MIDI, I've got the audio, everything is like completely reconstructed from scratch, and then I can just delete the scaffolding. Job's a good one. So it's very fast. If you were going to sit down and make, I want to make a nice cool Afro percussion backing track, and you like pull it up on Spotify and you're like, okay, what does that sound go? You'd be there for days trying to nail it. That took a couple of hours. And the person I was working with, like, how did you get that done so fast? I'm like, creative triangle, 8% rule. Check out my YouTube channel. Like, you know, I do go over it in detail.
Sorry, can I ask you about the scaffolding again a little bit? So,
yeah.
Will you like separate the stems, I imagine?
Yeah.
And then do you like leave the full track, or do you just leave the sections you're interested in?
No, full track in, because I'll just full track in, warp it, and then I can skip around. They're very useful to add into like the reference. So like Simon mentioned before, I do that. So I've got like a MIDI track at the top with the kind of cues. I'll pull in some references to kind of get an idea. Okay, that's where the breakdown hits. But this one's a bit longer and the breakdown's there. Then I'll just make a note, okay, that's where the drop wants to go. It's just like little points for yourself, so it's handy to have the full track. The only thing I'll say, and Simon, please close your ears, I use Logic stem separation. It's slightly superior.
Actually, one of the stem separations on extensions is pretty good as well.
A bit better, yeah. I mean, the Ableton one's good because it's in situ and it warps it and it's very handy for quick rough and ready. But I've used the Logic stem separation to do proper remixes. It's a little bit better, but no shade. I still love Ableton, really.
If you're using it for you're not going to actually use it anyway.
Okay, so that was like a quick one. This project is something that I did the entire track in a weekend, but the day one was getting all of my samples made, and it was like using obviously the Selector Racks, bounce to MIDI, coming up with different ideas. So this is where it gets a little bit more. I'm going to zoom out so you can see the state of this. There we go. So there's all my breakbeats. Let's go. Oh yeah, there's quite a few in there.
How do you make them?
Order. Yeah, these are melodic stuff, all different kind of order. Yeah, I know. Yes. What I really like to use, and I'm sure someone's going to make an extension version. Has anyone heard of Datamine Concatenator? No. And Combobulator? Oh. I'll spend a day combobulating. Basically, it just makes, basically you throw in your samples, which again, it's good if you have your samples organized. I've got every single breakbeat snare and every single breakbeat kick and put them in Concatenator. And then you can run breakbeat loops through it. And what it does, it tries to figure out, based on the pitch and the amplitude, I think that's a kick, and it'll play a kick for you. But it will be like completely glitchy. And you can change the settings. So I just concatenate all day long and just make, you can see some of the sizes of some of these clips. Let me show you. Where's my mouse? Oh, there we go. So I record like mountains of audio. That's not a very good one. Oh, I bounced these already. These were just long, huge, like 5-minute long clips. I've clipped them down to the best ones. These are tonal ones. And then basically it's all mush after it's out of time. Then I go in and quantize every single beat and then time it all to my project. And then I bounce them back to audio and then organize them. It's a bit of a faff, but you get some quality beats. Some of them actually ran through, so I templates like Chrome to get some tonal stuff. I'll show you. So that's a little bit tonal, and then this one's even more tonal. So that breakbeat is from a concatenator, which has rebuilt it from my samples, and then I've like tonally affected it, so it's in the key of the track. Approach with like melodics, ambiences, chords. I like to use a lot of contact stuff. I find their stuff's like hard to use in the actual device, so I just generate a bunch of audio and then I'll tweak it and do it instead. It's quicker. Yeah, and then for the breakdown, same approach, but this time, rather than it being drums, I just generated tons of like ambiences, throw it through the glitch thing, bounce to audio, until you generated loads. And then you've literally just got a bunch of amazing sounds. You're like, let's try that. Oh, let's try that. Oh, there we go, nailed it. So this breakdown was only like an hour's work. To a full track, and it's a longer track, and it's quite a complicated track as well. You've seen how many parts there are.
Where's the vocal from? Is it?
It's Spooky Belong. It's an old classic vinyl tune I've got. Yeah. I basically just wanted to play it at my wedding. I was like, I could get all the classics. Like, it should be a new remix of it, so I did it. But Digweed's downloaded it, and Hernan Catanera's downloaded it. I'm like, all right, nice. Awesome. That was just a track for myself, hence why it's bonkers. When I'm making stuff for labels, you have to be like a little bit less complicated. But yeah, all that kind of approach of, I did exactly the same in this. Started off with the basics, started to build it up. Yeah, in fact, I think my main breakbeat snares are using selectors. Let's have a look. Yep, there we go. Selectors. They're in all my projects now. And then again, different ones. You'll see how I've like slowly but surely just created variations. And when it comes to arrangement, I've got like 10 options to pick from. Pick the best one. It'll probably be, hopefully, even 90% there. And then once you get like a couple of hours into the project, you're like, yeah, that's actually good enough. I'm glad I didn't spend another 2 hours on that. That actually fits. Or it's like, right, I need to change it. Easy. Because you just let it go, because you only spent 10 minutes doing it, so there's no kind of like attachment to it. Does that make sense? So like, We've gone from the admin part, it's very geeky and nerdy, but it actually makes it so you can knock out stuff really fast. And it's good. You can make good stuff. Any questions? And if anyone wants me to go through and we can make a brand new selector afterwards, we totally can, I don't mind. Is that all good?